الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا صلى الله عليه وسلم. عباد الله، أولا أوصيكم بتقوى الله عز وجل لأنه يقول: ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the Quran mentions many wisdoms and stories and mithals and examples for us to extract and understand and compare those lessons to our own lives. And what I want to do in today's Kutbah is take a look at one of the most famous surahs in the Quran, a surah that is read on the day of Friday as a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and look at three incidents or three stories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the surah, and extract a wisdom and underlying principle that is within these incidents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this, and just to give a little background information, at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the majority of the companions that first started following the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam were from amongst the lowest class of that society. The Prophet ﷺ in 7th century Arabia lived in a society where it was based off of your race, your lineage, the tribe you were born into. And from the lowest of that society were those who were enslaved, were those who were non-Arabs, were those who were not from noble tribes amongst the Arabs. And those were the same individuals, generally speaking, that first started following the Prophet ﷺ. And this message first started appealing to them. So during the life of the Prophet ﷺ, in the beginning of his message, these individuals who were considered the lowest of that society started following his message, started becoming his companions, started following the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ, until it got to the point where some of the elite of that society, they recognize that the Prophet ﷺ has authority. They recognize that the Prophet ﷺ is bringing this message that is attracting people. So Umayyah ibn Khalaf and many others came to the Prophet ﷺ and they proposed a deal to the Prophet ﷺ. They said that if you leave these individuals, if you leave these people who they regarded as beneath them, who they regarded as somebody, or as people that were not important, they said, if you leave these individuals, we will take your side. If you leave these individuals, we will be the ones to be by your side. We have the financial ability, these individuals don't. We have the military might, these individuals don't. We have the power and the financial ability to fund your campaigns, to fund your da'wah. These people don't. And we'll partner up with you as long as you disassociate yourself with this lower class of society. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals this ayah. And He says, واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم. That be patient. Keep yourself aligned and patient with those who call upon the Lord, who call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه. During the day and during the night they want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want the pleasure of their Lord. The only reason why they follow you is for the pleasure of their Lord, not for any worldly gains. وَلَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ. That do not let your eyes pass, or don't drift your eyes towards these proposals that other people are making towards you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is instructing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in essence that don't be attracted by the various offers that you are getting. Rather, stay firm on the side of justice. Stay firm on the side of what is right. And regardless who is on your side, whether it be the poor or the rich, that stay on that side of justice. The ayah continues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْ أَغْفَلْنَا قَلْبَهُ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ وَكَانَ أَمْرُهُ فُرُطًا. That do not obey the ones who astray from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't follow, وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ وَكَانَ أَمْرُهُ فُرُطًا. That they follow their desires and they neglect their commands and their worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this first incident, in this first story, in this first ayah that is mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, the one we are looking at, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is instructing the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to stay away from this deal that is going on. And I'm going to connect these three incidences that we look at. In this first one, this group of the noblemen from amongst the Quraysh, those individuals who had a higher lineage, they thought of themselves better than other people, and they asked the Prophet ﷺ to align themselves with them. They prided themselves in that. They thought that everything that they accomplished is because of themselves. They thought that everything that they have earned in this world is because of something that they did, but it was the lineage that they were born into. It was the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave them wealth, that He put them in that position that they were in. And they neglected and overlooked that position. A few verses later in the same surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings in a very beautiful example. He says, وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ. He says, give them this example of the two people, of the two men, of the two individuals. And the word that He uses for give them this example is وَضْرِبْ, which comes from the word daraba, which means to hit. Daraba is to hit. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many places throughout the Quran uses this word before He starts any sort of example. Because the purposes of these examples, they're to wake the listener. That when you hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying وَضْرِبْ, that give them this example using this verb that means to hit. It means that the example that is supposed to hit the mind is so powerful that it makes you reflect and ponder upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell you. So He says, وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ جَعَلْنَا لِأَحَدِهِمَا جَنَّتَيْنِ. That tell them about the two individuals. And some scholars of tafsir mention that these two people were brothers, while others mention that they were two friends. مَثَلَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ جَعَلْنَا لِأَحَدِهِمَا جَنَّتَيْنِ. And one of those individuals, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, جَعَلْنَا. He attributes that grant, that giving to Himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, جَعَلْنَا لِأَحَدِهِمَا. That we gave one of them, جَنَّتَيْنِ. We gave one of them two gardens. جَنَّتَيْنِ مِنْ أَعْنَابٍ. These two gardens full of grapevines. وَحَفَفْنَاهُمَا بِنَخْلٍ وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمَا زَرْعًا. And we surrounded these two gardens We surrounded these two gardens that had grapevines and all of these luscious fruits within. We surrounded them with nothing, with palm trees. And this is an indication. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is laying down this picture, is painting this picture that not only did He grant this individual these gardens, but He made it perfect. He perfected the gardens that He had given this individual. That this person didn't have to worry about anything destroying their crops. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this natural fortress around that person's garden. وَحَفَفْنَاهُمَا بِنَخْلٍ وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمَا زَرْعًا. And in between those trees, we placed crops and fields and things that person can benefit from. كِلْتَا الْجَنَّتَيْنِ آتَتْ أُكُلَهَا. Both of these gardens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still describing this person's gardens. And I want us to see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spends verses describing what He had blessed this person with. He says, كِلْتَا الْجَنَّتَيْنِ. That both of these gardens, آتَتْ أُكُلَهَا. That they gave their production. Both of these gardens gave the highest form of production, always provided for this person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that these gardens produced everything that they could. كِلْتَا الْجَنَّتَيْنِ آتَتْ أُكُلَهَا وَلَمْ تَظْلِمْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. And it never fell short. وَلَمْ تَظْلِمْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا وَفَجَّرْنَا خِلَالَهُمَا نَهَرًا. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَفَجَّرْنَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala attributes it again to Himself. That we made the rivers run in those gardens. وَفَجَّرْنَا خِلَالَهُمَا نَهَرًا. That we made the rivers run between those gardens, again indicating to us even further that this person had nothing to do with the accomplishments that he got out of that garden. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even took care of the water. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided the most perfect garden to this person, or most perfect gardens to this person. وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرًا. The ayahs continue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرًا. And this person, now thamar is a type of fruit, but it also in Arabic can indicate wealth. وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرًا. And this person had wealth. This person was rich. He had, whether it be fruit or financial ability, financial capability, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed him. وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرًا فَقَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ وَهُوَ يُحَاوِرُهُ. And he said to his friend, if you remember the story starts with the two individuals. So this person was granted these two jannahs, these two gardens that were perfected. And as he was talking to his friend, فَقَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ وَهُوَ يُحَاوِرُهُ. As he was talking to him, أَنَا أَكْثَرُ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَأَعَزُّ نَفَرًا. Now notice how the tone changes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He's describing His blessings to this person, He is saying, وَفَجَّرْنَا خِلَالَهُمَا. That I am the one who provided this. I am the one who granted this river. I am the one who surrounded this garden and made it perfect. Now when this person, after he attains all of these blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after he gains the place and the position that he is in life, what does he start doing? He neglects Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he says, أَنَا أَكْثَرُ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَأَعَزُّ نَفَرًا. I am better than you financially. I have more money than you. He's telling his friend. وَأَعَزُّ مِنْكَ وَأَعَزُّ نَفَرًا. And I am better than you in lineage. I am better than you in my children. I have more offspring than you. So this person is attributing these accomplishments, or what he thinks are purely his accomplishments, to himself, not realizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed him with these. The verses continue, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَدَخَلَ جَنَّتَهُ وَهُوَ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. And this individual enters his garden. This individual enters his garden that is so perfected for him. وَدَخَلَ جَنَّتَهُ وَهُوَ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. While he is an oppressor to himself. While he is a zalim to himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the one who doesn't attribute their accomplishments, who does not attribute and does not recognize the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon them, as a zalim, as somebody who's oppressing themselves. وَهُوَ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ قَالَ مَا أَظُنُّ أَن تَبِيدَ هَذِهِ أَبَدًا. And this person says that this will never finish. This will never end. And he stops to realize that this world is temporary. That the position he's in, because he's doing so well and everything is so perfect, he does not realize that this world is temporary, that it will end. قَالَ مَا أَظُنُّ أَن تَبِيدَ هَذِهِ أَبَدًا. And he says that this will never end. My position is perfect. Who can take this from me? Who can destroy this? I have everything that I want. I have this degree or that degree. I have this job or that job. My position is stable. My life is stable. My life is perfect. أَنَا أَكْثَرُ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَأَعَزُّ نَفْسًا. Attributing everything to himself. وَمَا أَظُنُّ السَّاعَةَ قَائِمَةً. And he takes it a step further. Now this individual starts denying the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He starts denying the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, وَمَا أَظُنُّ السَّاعَةَ قَائِمَةً. And I don't even think that the hour will rise. He starts thinking that he is above the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَئِنْ رُجِعْتُ إِلَىٰ رَبِّي لَأَجِدَنَّ خَيْرًا مِنْهَا مُنْقَلَبًا. And if I were to return to my Lord, he's telling his friend, if I were to return to my Lord, then surely I will be granted more than this. And he's thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him in this world. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guaranteed to bless him in the hereafter. Where it's not the case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says that He gives to everybody. He gives to whoever He wills. That what He gives you is a test. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees if you are thankful. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees what you do with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with. The privileges that you have in life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same mithal, He gives the answer to how we should interact with the privileges that we are given. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or He mentions that the story continues, قَالَ لَهُ صَاحِبُهُ وَهُوَ يُحَاوِرُهُ. So his friend says to him, the friend that doesn't have as much as this person has. قَالَ لَهُ صَاحِبُهُ وَهُوَ يُحَاوِرُهُ أَكَفَرْتَ بِالَّذِي خَلَقَكَ. That are you denying? Are you denying the one who has created you? Are you being neglectful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are you denying His signs? Are you denying His blessings? Are you denying the wealth that He has granted you? أَكَفَرْتَ بِالَّذِي خَلَقَكَ مِنْ تُرَابٍ. Who created you from turab, from clay, from dirt. ثُمَّ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ ثُمَّ سَوَّاكَ رَجُلًا. Then from a drop of sperm, then He molded you into a man. لَكِنَّ هُوَ اللَّهُ رَبِّي. He says, but as for me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my Lord. وَلَا أُشْرِكُ بِرَبِّي أَحَدًا. And I don't associate anybody with my Lord. He's saying that he thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why is he talking about shirk? The first individual never even mentioned the concept of associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first individual who's priding himself in his wealth, in his gardens, never mentioned shirk. But his friend replies with the concept of shirk. Because denying the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, attributing it to oneself, is a form of shirk. Is a form of believing that you have the power to come about, you have the power to bring about what you have in life. It is a denial of the privileges that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted you. It is a denial of the concept that where you are in life, it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made everything so perfect for you. Just like He had made that garden perfect for that individual. That many of us are from countries where people are suffering. And we are sitting here today in this Kutbah with this lifestyle. And it could have been another individual from that same country sitting in your spot. But it is because of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that your life is where it is today. So this person continues to advise his friends. He says, وَلَوْلَا إِذْ دَخَلْتَ جَنَّتَكَ قُلْتَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. That if you were to enter your garden, you should have said, مَا شاء اللَّهُ, this is what Allah wills. لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. There is no power, there is no might that can grant me this except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِن تَرَنِي أَنَا أَقَلَّ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَوَلَدًا. And the word, the phrase that he uses, he says, إِن تَرَنِي. If you thought that this is what really brings value to a person, that it is really money or lineage that defines a human being, if you think that these are things that really define you, that place a price on you, then you should have thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it was never you that had that wealth. It was never you that created that lineage. They were all a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِن تَرَنِي أَنَا أَقَلَّ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَوَلَدًا. If you thought I was beneath you in these things, then you should have thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no need to thank yourself. You didn't accomplish any of this. فَعَسَى رَبِّي أَن يُؤْتِيَنِي خَيْرًا مِنْ جَنَّتِكَ وَيُرْسِلَ عَلَيْهَا حُسْبَانًا. And I'm going to end the story at this ayah, even though it continues. He says, you should have asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant me those things. Instead of looking down upon him, instead of thinking that I am better than this individual, his friend is telling him the next step to do, what we should do with our privilege. What we should do with the position, the opportunities, the abilities, the connections that we have in life. We should use that to help other people. And his friend says to him that if you thought these things made you above me, then thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the next advice that he gives him, then make dua for me. Work towards helping me achieve those things as well. And in this story, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illustrates a very strong point. He reminds us that everything in our lives are through Him and from Him only. He reminds us, and I said that I won't be able to finish his entire story, but there's two words that he uses later on in the story. He says, وَأُحِيطَ بِثَمَنٍ, and his gardens were destroyed. And after describing this individual's gardens, for a few verses in details about how perfected they were, he uses two words to describe how they were gone. They were destroyed. Because to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala it's minor. وَأُحِيطَ بِثَمَنٍ, and they were gone. They were surrounded, they were encompassed. Showing us that everything we accomplish and we get this big head that we've done so much in life. But the reality is, it is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number one, we must acknowledge that. And number two, we must use those blessings to pass them forward, to help other individuals who do not have those blessings, who do not have the same position, who do not have the same ability in life. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to implement these mithal, these examples that He gives us in the Quran. وَدْعُوا اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ. Use this time for silent prayer. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين، ولك الحمد حمد الذاكرين، لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك. A few verses later, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned something that took place in the beginning of time. He says, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when we commanded the angels to perform sajda to Adam, they all fell into sajda except for Iblis. كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ, he was from amongst the jinn, فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ, so he strayed from the commands of his Lord. Now, in this third incident, again, there's an underlying connection to the first two incidences, to the first two stories that we spoke about. In this one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another surah gives us a reason why Iblis objected. Iblis gives an explanation why he didn't perform sajda. He says, خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. That you created me from fire and you created him from clay. Again, the same principle. I am better than him. I am better than him. Iblis, we say that the first sin that Iblis ever did was pride. That he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he prided himself over Adam. But what is the reason for his pride? It is the same reason why that person with the two gardens kept saying, Ana, I. It is something that was never his accomplishment. It was something that was never in his control. خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ. You created me from fire. Iblis never accomplished that. It was a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was something given to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that moment he took that blessing and he made it seem that it was his own, and he denied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He denied the commands of his Lord. And in all three of these incidents, all three of these stories that are mentioned, all three of these selection of verses that we went through today, it is the same trend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is introducing to us. Which is we start to think that our accomplishments are from us. And we start to think that we are the reason for our achievements. And then the next step we get onto is we start to have pride over other people because of the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given us. And then the next step is we start to think that our intellect, that our position is better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. That our logical understandings are better than the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we might not belittle all of them when we start to belittle some of the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just as that individual, as he kept rising in his paradise, in his accomplishments, in his stomach, in his financial ability, he kept denying a higher existence. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to think about, to ponder over these verses, and to truly understand and implement them in our lives. In the last few minutes of this khutbah, the next 2 or 3 minutes, I just want to introduce the newest project that we are actually working on, and that is Rewaq Institute. It is an institute that we are trying to open in the Delaware, southern Pennsylvania, so Westchester, Philadelphia, and surrounding areas, and southern Jersey. It's an Islamic non-profit institute. It will be the first of its kind in this region, and the idea or the objective is not to replace classes and courses that we have, but to fill in a void, to fill in a gap. We want to create courses, we want to create workshops that are not existent in this area. Our main objective is 2 things. We want to create workshops and courses that tackle the contemporary issues that a lot of the youth face, while grounding those issues in Islamic philosophy and tradition. And we also want to create Ijaza style of courses, more traditional style of courses that are not found in our region. That people usually travel abroad or they travel to other states to take those classes. And this is going to be the first of its kind, inshallah, in this area. And it's, again, a Delaware-led initiative. And today I have 2 requests from everyone. The first is we can't do it without your support. It is in the beginning process, and we can't get it rolling, we can't get it started without your support. I remember the last time I stood on this minbar asking about a project. It was the Stand with Rohingya project. And alhamdulillah, through our entire community's support and help, we were able to make that project a success. We raised $65,500 in Delaware. And we were able to take all of it to the refugee camps and deliver all of it from our Delaware communities. And alhamdulillah, the same individuals from that team that helped run that project, that made it a success, are the same individuals that are part of this organization trying to establish this non-profit institute in this region for our communities and our future generations. So my first request is that we can't do it without you. We have a table set up outside with the logo Rewaq Institute. And at that table, We ask you to kindly donate anything that you can. And don't think any of your donations are little. $5, $10, $20, whatever it may be, whatever you can give, be a part of this beginning process. My second request is even more important. And that is more important than the financial help that you can give us. And that is physically showing up to the events that we create. A lot of people put in a lot of time and effort and energy running these events and trying to place them for your children, trying to create and design courses that tackle the issues that your children struggle with. And the worst thing that can happen from our community is not attending those events or not showing up or not bringing your children to those events. So the second request is even more important than the financial help that you can give us, which is please, whenever you hear of an event organized by us, of an event created by us, just know there's a lot of back work that goes into it, a lot of research that goes into designing these specific courses and workshops that we're trying to create in this area. So we ask you to try your best to attend those events, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this a success. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this a way for our youth to be firm on their religion. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ighfir lana wa li walidayna wa lil muslimina wal muslimat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka sami'un mujib ad da'awat. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصل اللهم على سيدنا وحبيبنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أقم الصلاة.